The lame duck session ending with a frenzy of legislation being passed, but lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are saying things will not be that easy when the new Congress convenes in January. Jake Berliner, Deputy Policy Director for the left-leaning think tank NDN, rather, sorry about that, and Matt Keelan, consultant for the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Good to see both of you. Thanks so much for being with us today on this holiday. We sure do appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Merry Christmas.
Jake, how much different will things look in January?
Well, things will look somewhat different. You know, Republicans will now control the House. They'll have a few more seats in the Senate. But it's important to remember, you know, that Democrats will still control the presidency, still have the majority in the Senate. And so both parties need to find a way to work together to advance the interests of the American people. And what you have right now are Republicans coming out and saying that they're not particularly interested in doing that. You know, you had Mitch McConnell, the Senate minority leader, the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, saying, you know what, we're only willing to work with the Democrats when they agree to do exactly what we want. So hopefully both sides can find a way to embrace the Christmas spirit and get the business of the American people done. But I'm not sure it looks so good right now.
All right, well, let's look at the other side of the aisle. What will be the biggest impact in terms of what gets passed come January, given the momentum that we saw before Christmas, and will that momentum last for Democrats?
Yeah, you know what? I think it will.
Jake, thanks. Hang on one sec.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jamie, I think that you're going to see a lot of people talking about the Debt Commission and some of their recommendations. Look, the American people spoke loudly and clearly on Election Day. They want government spending to get under control. They want the government in Washington, D.C. to start living like they do around their kitchen table, meeting their bills and not overdoing it. So I think the President and Speaker Boehner and Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell need to get around a table and figure out where to cut the wasteful spending and get people back to work. That's the number one issue, I think, amongst Americans.
Before I go back to Jake, Matt, what kind of impact can the Speaker have? Because Nancy Pelosi had a lot of impact, many would argue, in terms of getting legislation passed, moving things along, keeping to the agenda that Democrats had in mind. What can the Republicans do in the House?
Look, I'd say, Jamie, that Speaker Boehner has already had a tremendous impact, and he's not even Speaker yet. That's how we got the tax deal done, where, you know, President Obama campaigned against those tax cuts for 2 years and then railed against them for the next 2. And thank God he was wise enough to sit down and compromise with the Republicans, and we got a 2-year extension. So I think Speaker Boehner sitting at the table is going to force Democrats to come in and compromise. And we've already seen some good legislation because of it.
Jake, let me go back to the momentum that we saw. So much was done in this lame duck session. Do you expect that pace to return, especially in terms of the budget and also cutting spending, and how bipartisan will all of this be?
You know, it's interesting. A lot of people said after the midterm elections that the president was really weakened, that he wasn't going to be able to get anything done. And then he turned around and you know, moved to the middle on the tax cut compromise, but then was able to satisfy his base by passing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and do a lot of other important business for the country. The 9/11 firefighters and first responders health bill was very important, and a number of other very important achievements that sort of left the American people thinking, well, if this is what President Obama looks like when he's down, what's he going to be able to accomplish next year when he's had even more time to recover from the midterms? Unfortunately, though, you know, despite all this bipartisanship that we've seen, Republicans are telling the American people that they're going to use a very political, very partisan strategy of just saying no to just about everything. And it's sort of interesting. Normally in politics we don't see.
Jake? Who said that?
You had Jim Jordan, just in the Politico, the head of the Republican Study Committee, saying we're going to block everything. You had, as I said, Mitch McConnell saying we're only going to do what we want to do, not what they want to do.
Let Matt respond so that we get both sides of this. Matt, will that be the case? What do you expect in terms of bipartisanship?
Well, I think it's going to really be up to the president. Look, he's got a choice. He's either going to have a ghost of Christmas past that he listens to that's Jimmy Carter, or it's the ghost of Christmas past that's Bill Clinton. And he's either going to move to the middle like Bill Clinton did and be reelected, probably, or he's going to stay far left like he did most of the first 2 years, other than the last month, and be defeated soundly just like Jimmy Carter was in 1980.
All right,
So the choice is really his.
Got to leave it there. Great to see both of you on this holiday. I really appreciate it, Jake and Matt.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Same to you. Happy and a healthy one.
Coming up after a quick break, while you're at home with your family.